Welcome to Making Awesome, episode 4. I guess we had a bonus episode in there, and if you're watching us on YouTube, you might have missed it because I don't think I figured out how to get it up there as a bonus episode. But if you're listening on audio only, you should be able to see the bonus. Maybe I figured it out. My name's Grant. I got Tad here with me, and we are going to talk about kind of an awkward subject for us, but it's the cost of 3D printing, right? As a for-profit business, we don't like to talk too much about the cost because, well, there are some weird things about it. 3D printing is inherently not very expensive. The materials aren't all that expensive. The machines don't have to be all that expensive. But what is expensive is...
Not anymore, at least.
That's true. They used to be. But what is expensive is the two people that are on this podcast have combined over 20 years of engineering and 3D printing experience. That's where the money goes. But let's rewind ever so slightly. Way back to the early, mid 2000s. 2008, the RepRap project's just getting off the ground. The big patents surrounding 3D printing had finally gone away. Honestly, we started before that, but no one really wants to talk about it. And now we can make our own stuff. And it started off just a bunch of us idiots getting old busted copy machines, scraping parts from whatever places you could find them. We're not going to talk about where we got parts from, but hey, if your machine could hold 1 millimeter tolerance, you were cool. Now, if you can't hold 1/10 of a millimeter, you need to recalibrate. But 3D printing back then was so expensive, right? The printer directly above me, of course, if you're listening on audio only, you won't be able to see it, but I am at 3D Musketeers HQ, and part of our production facility is directly behind me because it makes a really awesome background for any Zoom calls or digital meetings we have, because I am really enjoying this new style of digital only. A lot more comfortable for me these days, but the printer behind me is $2,500. It's a Lulzbot Taz 6. When it came out, it was one of the most expensive consumer-grade 3D printers to ever hit the market. And we were the fourth buyer in the state of Florida for one of those printers. Because we, up until then, had been using $400 cheap Chinese 3D printers that were so much work. But if you didn't want to drop multiple thousands of dollars for a solution that wasn't great, you were sticking with these cheap Chinese 3D printers. We bit the bullet, and we got that Taz 6. And, it's a great printer. It has its downsides. It's why you're not going to hear it or see it run very often. It's a printer that we run only when we need to do like draft printing or when we get a request to see some thick layers, and that's thick with at least 3 Cs. 1 millimeter thick layers are comical at best. But 3D printing, all the costs have come down, right? You can get a half decent 3D printer for $200. But you got to know what you're doing. Tad, I want to have you talk a little bit, because you just got the first 3D printer.
Let me move out of the way so people can see. So
all these audio only listeners, man, they are seeing the light. Let me tell you.
They're getting the best view of this in their imagination.
It's true. They don't have to look at us. So realistically, I think the audio onlys are winning. Are kind of winning here. But behind Tad is a Prusa i3, an original Prusa i3 Mark IIIS. I have 4 of them behind me. We have 6 of them total at 3D Musketeers. Tad has one of his own. Tad, I want you to talk to everyone about why you made this decision for the Prusa, some of your experience on other machines, and positive, negative. Tell them, give it to them raw, right? We're not here to sugarcoat it. This is all about the cost of 3D printing and why people make the decisions that we make. And depending on where you are in this cycle of business, personal, inventor, whatever, you can decide, is it better to hire 3D Musketeers, of course, the sponsor of our podcast, Making Awesome, or am I better off buying my own printer, doing it myself? So please tell them your journey. I'm going to take a sip of water here.
Take a sip of water. Well, my first, to set the context for this, my first introduction to 3D printing was when I was in high school. My public library had one itty bitty 3D printer. It must have been like, the bed size must have been maybe 5 inches square. I don't even know what it was, but it was awful. And that's where I saw one for the first time, like, oh, this is cool. And then when I started engineering school, we had in the basement of our engineering building, we had a 3D printing lab that had maybe 8 printers that, Grant, I can't remember what they were called, but they had like the board with the holes in it. That was the bed, and it wasn't even heated.
Yes, it was a FR4 or Garolite bed. Most likely they were Stratasys 3D printers. Probably,
they were kind of reddish.
Printers were
reddish
kind of reddish.
Yeah, very early days. You just hoped that the print, like the first layer, adhered to those little holes, and it didn't often work the first time. And I was like, oh, it would be really nice to buy one of these. They were expensive for a broke college student.
They were expensive, period.
They were expensive, period. Everything was too expensive and not good enough. And now, here I am years later, and I was like, I should finally buy one, because Grant I had been working with for a long time already, and I didn't have a printer yet. So finally this year, I bit the bullet and I bought a Prusa. And this particular one, including shipping, was only $800, which now is pretty good for the quality of it. I mean, this took me maybe 2 days total to put together.
It is a kit.
It's a kit, yeah.
And the instructions are phenomenal.
It's a thick manual. It's like 100 some pages. It's very well illustrated and everything.
It's how you wish IKEA manuals came.
Yeah, with a little bit more verbose, but the pictures are still good.
Yeah.
As a fully assembled thing, you can buy it pre-made for like $1,000, I think.
$1,000. Yep.
But it's definitely worth it to get it as a kit, because it doesn't really take that much work to put together if you're even minimally technical. And it comes with the tools and everything.
Yeah.
Grant gave me a couple upgrade parts. Those are the ones in green, because they're just a little bit better than what comes stock. But you can always build it stock and modify it later, because you've got the thing to make new parts right here. So it's really nice.
It is nice to build it with those upgrade parts, though, because then you don't have to disassemble it.
Well, like the Y-axis belt thing, the way that they have it, that was bad the first time.
The way they have it is not bad, but it's not optimal.
It's not as easy, because you gotta like flip it over to, it's fiddly. But it only took me 2 days, including like tweaking it to get it to work right. Like the first calibration cube I printed, let me see if I have one of these calibration cubes. For those who don't know, and for people listening, it's just like a 20 millimeter cube with X, Y, and Z on it. Yep. I printed one of these, and I took a pair of calipers and was like measuring it, and it was good to within a 1/4 millimeter at the largest, 1/10 of a millimeter on a couple other axes. So it's very accurate.
For those that don't know, a 1/4 of a millimeter is stupid small.
Right. You're not going to be able to notice it.
It's human hair is about 1/10 of a millimeter thick, so it's 2.5 human hairs.
It's like 3 sheets of paper, maybe. Yeah. It's so thin. So it's like, this is pretty good, and you don't have to do much to it to get it there.
And so what made you decide for the Prusa? I know I had a lot of force there, but there's
did browbeat me for months.
I did,
about how I should get one.
But
to be fair,
you had plenty of options to go with, like it Ender from anything from Creality right there.
Yeah,
they are the current winner of the. I just want a cheap 3D printer. You could have gone resin. You could have gone larger. You could have gone to like a Lulzbot or something. So looking at what all's out there, what drew you toward the
I think
Prusa?
Is actually from close to my hometown.
They're from they were from Colorado.
Yeah, I think they were in Loveland, which is the next
Yes.
big town over from my hometown. So
Wait,
uh,
where's your hometown?
Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay.
Nice place. A
Things
little
I
bit
should
north of Denver.
probably know. I feel like we've talked about it. My better three quarters, her sister and father live in Aurora.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but
Very
this
nice.
is there's options, right?
Yeah, there are
And
options.
anyone that's looking to make the step, whether you are a business, a
Mhm.
hobbyist, a person, you have to sit there and say, what is it worth to me? Because look, let's be frank, especially in this day and age, right? We're recording
Mm.
this late September, probably won't come out till early October of 2020. Dude, a grand, and let's just round up to a grand, right?
Yeah.
A grand for a 3D printer. You can get a lot of stuff for $1,000. Hell,
Hmm.
you could get like 2 bottles of hand sanitizer for $1,000
In this economy,
in this
or some toilet
economy,
paper.
or some toilet paper.
Well, that's gotten better now. I think the
Yes,
capacity is
it
caught up.
has. But it's a lot of money. So
Mhm.
what drew you toward the Prusa? And ignore my browbeating, because I don't think that's
Yeah.
fair. I browbeat anyone that is talking about 3D printing and is saying how they just want it to work. If you say you want the Apple of 3D printers and you're
Yeah.
looking at Creality, you're probably making a mistake. But talk to me about your experiences with some of these other machines, because we met through a mutual screw job by a potential customer that screws
Yeah. Not the
both out
best
of a
project.
fair bit of money. Best way to meet someone, by the way, if you want to
Yeah.
ever do business with someone, if you both get screwed by the same person,
The bond is permanent.
yeah, you now have a bridge
Yes.
that's built and made of hate for somebody else.
I don't know if it was that bad, but it was pretty bad.
I don't know, man. See, you got paid. I had a ton of
You
work in
didn't
that
even
job.
get.
I didn't get a dime.
Oh man.
But so
Oh.
there's other options, right? And the Ender 3, you can't really talk about the cost of 3D printing without mentioning the Ender 3. You can get
Mhm.
those things under $200. Why didn't you get an Ender 3?
Well, those come pre-assembled, right?
Ish.
Ish.
It's like 5
Well,
bolts.
I mean, I was looking over Prusa's website, and I know that they have a very good reputation for quality, for one thing. And I also was attracted to the offering of a kit because I'm an engineer. I like to build things, and I also figured if I build it myself, I'll understand it better than if you just pull something out of a box and start running it. It's like you haven't seen the insides, you haven't been through the guts of it. So now I have a perfect understanding of how it works. At least on the hardware side. The software side, I'm still getting used to a little bit. So it's not that complicated.
Rambo boards, ramps boards, duets. What does all that mean?
Yeah.
Half of those were freaking acronyms.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No. So it's been good. It's been good to do. For the reason I wanted a 3D printer is obviously in engineering. We do prototyping a lot.
Yep.
And having the ability to print parts is just so much better than any other option for getting prototypes because you don't have to spend money on CNCing things. It's good if it doesn't have to be the final product, but you just want something to establish form and fit and function. So that's been good. I also like to make plastic crap, so I do like model kits and stuff. So this is a nice thing to be able to like design my own.
Yep.
And prototype those.
So other
Yeah,
than
it's been
the
good.
kit aspect of Prusa,
Mm-hmm.
why not the Ender? Curious.
Uh, I'd seen some people who had some trouble with them. Not that they're bad, but it can be a little fiddly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I just was attracted to the idea of a printer that once you set it up, it works pretty much all the time. It can calibrate itself. It's not been a hassle. I'll put it that way. It's been pretty buttery smooth.
So I guess the big thing for us, and
Mm-hmm.
we get people all the time that call in looking to buy a 3D printer, looking to buy a
Right.
3D printer, looking to buy a 3D printer. Let me be straight. If we could resell Prusas, I'd be like number 600 in line because I would probably miss the drop to get in line. And I'm sure every single 3D printing company in the United States would be on that list because
Mm-hmm.
they're that good. But again, not everyone has basically $1,000 or $800 if you want the kit.
Mm.
In the Ender 3, it's prime shipped. You get it 2 days or less. I can give you some personal experience with it. So I'm also a robotics teacher. I coach an FRC team here locally, Team 4622, the Academy of the Lakes Wildcats. And one of the students, big into 3D printing. And actually, we're going to have him on as a guest one of these times. That's going to be fun for him to talk about pretty cool stuff we just finished up with him.
Mm-hmm.
But he brought in this Ender 3, and it had been ridden hard and put away wet. That machine was abused, and it's not his fault, right? Moving those printers tends to abuse them. And I look at it, he spent over 40 hours trying to upgrade, tune, modify all of this. And I looked at him and I said, dude, just stop. You've wasted so much time. Now, at the time he was 14 or 15. He's 15 now. Had to have been 14, I guess, because it was a year ago that we went through this. So I said, dude, imagine if this was minimum wage and you were spending all this time.
Yeah.
You've just blown the value of this printer out of the water, right? You've spent more time than what this printer's actually worth, right? You spent what, $280+
Yeah.
I don't know, what is it, $8.50 or $8.25 is Florida minimum wage? I don't know. Our starting wage is higher than minimum. I don't care what minimum is. It's like code. Minimum is just the start. We go up from there, right? If you decide minimum is what you want, then minimum is the kind of quality you're going to get. And we tell that to people. If you want to spend very little money, you're going to get a printer that there were corners cut. Let's think about what kind of corners you can cut.
Mm-hmm.
You can easily cut corners on the hot end, get rid of an all metal hot end, give it a Teflon or PTFE lined hot end. It's only good up to like 250 degrees centigrade. So it can do ABS, PETG, and PLA. That's it. You can't do anything higher than that because you will physically melt the PTFE liner. And, well, that liner will off-gas formaldehyde.
It's not good to breathe.
Not great. That's the same thing they used to embalm people with. So think about it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, there's lots of safety features on 3D printers. If Tad was to go over to his Prusa and cut one of the thermistor wires, don't do that because I don't want to, like...
I don't want to mess up this 20-hour print that I'm running right now.
Of course, our audio-only listeners won't see, but I have a bag full of the official Prusa connectors for those thermistors because that is the one wear item on a Prusa that you have to replace. Here are generic glass bead thermistors for the bed. Here are the right connectors for them. Because
speaking of, what's the lifespan?
It depends. It's all based on how hard you run the printer and how much room you have on your wire. All the wires are made of copper, so over time they will work harden. We get about 600 to 700 hours out of a bed thermistor. The hot end thermistors are generally a little bit nicer quality. The wire is a little bit nicer, and it's much thicker because that one deals with a lot more heat. So something to keep in mind. But one of the big downsides, some of these really cheap printers like ANET, stay away from ANET. Look, we run a business. We are a service-based business. If you decide you want to get a 3D printer, there's not a darn thing we're going to do to stop you.
Yeah.
Not our jobs. And if you decide an Ender 3 is the right move, fine. Under no circumstances should you buy a printer from ANET. And if they're listening, hi, ANET, don't try to sponsor us. I will not accept any amount of money.
No bribery here.
Unless it's like MakerBot money. $95 million, I'll tell everyone you're the best 3D printer on the planet. And then Tad and I will go build big freaking 3D printers on our own private islands.
Exactly.
Like the guys at MakerBot did. I don't blame them for what they did. Any business person would have done the same thing. The industry's pissed at them, but yeah, it kind of sucked, but geez, come on. It's $95 million. The company was not worth that. Stratasys wanted their patents and their IP and their marketing. ANETs have a history of catching fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where one of the big downsides is. So, earlier on we talked about the ramps, the Rambo, Duet. Those are different styles of motherboards. And, it would have been smart of me to actually have what they all stood for, right?
Well, that's why we have Google.
Yeah. So oh, come on. Tell me. Yeah, it's by Pololulu, I think.
Mm-hmm.
RepRap, Arduino, Mega, Pololulu, Shield, Arduino. Okay, yeah. RepRap, Arduino, Mega, Pololulu, Shield, ramps. And then there's the Rambo. Again, I didn't have any of this Google. That would have been smart.
It's all right.
RepRap Arduino compatible motherboard, Rambo.
Oh, okay.
And Duet, that's not as far as I'm aware.
And the Arduino compatible component I know is that you could add on an Arduino for various accessories, right?
Correct. The ramps is actually a daughter board that fits on top of an Arduino. So think about that. Arduinos are like really bare bones. They're great for doing very singular tasks. They're not great when you need them to do a bunch of stuff. And look, we've had plenty of printers that run ramps boards. They're $40. Whenever we build printers here at 3D Musketeers, we always put ramps boards in them first, because if I'm going to let the smoke out of something, I'm gonna let the smoke out of a $40 board and not a $300 Duet. They're worth the money. Duets are worth it. But the boards inside of ANETs are not only proprietary, so you can't fix them. They are missing a key, and they were, I don't know if they still are. I don't really care. I will never recommend ANETs. They are missing a key thing. Over temp protection, thermal runaway. There have been 7 major house fires in the past year and a half because of ANETs. Over half of them resulted in total loss or majority loss on the home. Okay, you do not want that. You do not want that. It is not. What is the deductible on your homeowner's insurance? What is the deductible on your business insurance?
It's not worth the money you're going to save.
What is the deductible on your health insurance?
Yeah.
It is all, generally speaking, higher than the cost of the machine. Don't be a cheap ass. Don't do it. Look, we get it. Every penny counts. Save up for another 3 months. It's worth it.
What is the saying? Buy nice or buy twice.
Yeah, buy once, cry once, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You buy it nice or buy it twice. Oh, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, same general sentiment.
Yeah. ANETs are great if you need cheap stepper motors.
Just to cannibalize.
The printer is made out of acrylic. Acrylic is flammable. And acrylic burns very
they should have just made it out of wood, cut out the middleman. Jesus.
So actually, olden day 3D printers from MakerBot, the Cupcake and the Thingomatic, were both laser cut out of wood.
That's right. Oh, I remember seeing those way back when. And I was like, oh, that's cool looking.
The Thingomatic had a belt option, right? Belt printers went away for a long time. Now they're starting to come back. Creality looks like they're going to be launching a bed printer. That one we might buy. Just because I'm curious, because belt printers are really nice if you need to make a production. And we have one particular client that orders a lot of parts all the time. Like, we maintain an inventory here so that we don't have to like scramble to print stuff for him. That's how, it's like a belt printer would be pretty cool. You just put a box in front of it and drops parts in the friggin' box and Bob's your auntie.
Yeah.
But, wood printers are kind of a problem in Florida. That humidity that we have, wood's not a huge fan of that. That expansion contraction made them very poor machines over time. But You know, it came down to safety, right? What is your peace of mind worth? Is it worth triple, quadruple the price of an
Hmm.
ANET? Yeah,
Do those
look,
things temp down when they finish printing?
they do. But
Okay.
let's say you were to pull the thermistor out,
Yeah.
the hot end's going to say, "Oh, I'm not hot enough."
And
It's going to
continue it
heat.
on and on and on until it like melts through the
It'll melt, right?
falls to the floor,
Oh, hey,
keeps
look at that.
melting.
He's got a heater near
Oh,
him.
there you go.
Obviously, if you're audio only, it is a little difficult to see what we're doing. But I've got a E3D 24 volt 40 watt heater. This heater, I think we've been through this what the sizing of this heater is, but I got calipers too, so screw it, we're doing it.
Yeah, how big is it?
It is 20 millimeters long, so a little bit under an inch by 6 millimeters in diameter, and it can produce 40 watts. I don't know the last time anyone grabbed onto a 40 watt incandescent light bulb.
It's hot.
They're effing hot. Even some of these LEDs that are like 15 watts, you grab onto them, it's like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Even they're still
hot.
warm, and they're all optimized to be as cool as you can get.
Well, like a 40 watt light bulb can be upwards of the size of your fist.
Yeah.
This thing is so tiny, it can produce 40 watts of
hot.
heat, and it'll easily melt aluminum. And that molten aluminum, when it hits your print bed, is going to catch your print bed on fire. And then when your printer's made out of a nice flammable material like acrylic, the whole thing just smolders and burns slowly, catching
Really toxic
everything
smoke
around it. And let's be frank, none of you are going to have your printers on a nice concrete fireproof table. No, you probably went to IKEA. You probably got the cheap lac end
like
table.
I
I'm
did.
calling you out. And so your table's literally made of firewood.
It's like pouring gasoline on the fire.
Even ours have wood bases on them, but the main structure is steel. So even if we do have a printer go nuclear, we should be okay. But we don't have that to worry about. On these higher end printers, if you cut or pull a thermistor and it tries to heat and it says, hey, I'm heating, and the printer says, no, you're not. We don't see that. It says, hey, that's a problem, and turns itself off. It will go into what's called thermal runaway. And if any of you that own a 3D printer want to check to see if your printer can do that, you can either pull the thermistor out and try to heat the printer, or my preferred method, make sure there's nothing flammable around the printer. Go grab a lighter from your kitchen and put a lighter near the printer while you have it set to a low temperature. Set it to like 65°. Hit it with a lighter. If it goes above 100 before it errors out, you've got a problem. And there are ways to add in the protection, but you should not, under any circumstances, need to do that. It is not worth it.
No.
So we believe it's worth spending money. Like, we have a Fusion 3 F410. That machine is $5,000. That is the only 3D printer 3D Musketeers resales. If you're interested in getting one, they have a 2-year unconditional warranty. They're 14 by 14 by 12.4 inch build volume, and they move incredibly fast. They're also 90 pounds of American-made awesome. There's no Chinesium in that. Heck, there's not even Czechesium.
Oh,
because it comes out
be
of
nice
Czech
to the
Republic.
Czechs.
I don't
They're
know,
good
man.
people.
Hey, I love Joe. I love his company. You know, he has grown Prague. They're based in Prague. They have a huge building there. It's pretty cool. One day I want to go. Try to like write off part of a vacation.
Prague is a wonderful city. I don't know, it was a couple months ago when I was buying this. I was actually like, where is Prusa in Prague? And I'm like, oh, that's
They're
actually not that far away from where I've been.
Oh, you've been to Prague?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. It's great. I went one summer. It was a lot of fun. Beautiful place, good food.
I just want to go tour Prusa.
That too.
I'm sure the food's great, but I want to go see.
They have an excellent museum of like science and industry.
They have a great museum full of 3D printing too.
Oh yeah.
But you know, especially if you're a business, and let's switch gears for a minute. Let's talk about businesses, because, 3D Musketeers, we serve a lot of businesses, right? We provide 3D printing services to businesses, inventors, consumers. If the money is there at this point, we don't care. COVID really just, I can make a lot of anecdotes about it, but none of them are politically correct. COVID was not kind to us. And so we're doing everything we can. We will gladly accept basically any job that's worth its weight to us. But, between Tad and I, there's over 20 years of experience here in this industry. There's over 6 years of engineering, because technically I'm not an engineer. I play one. Look,
I was going to say,
I've got calipers. I bought them from Harbor Freight. They've got to be good.
You might not have the piece of paper that says you're an engineer, but in practice, you certainly are one.
I mean, I've got this, though, and not many people have that. I've got one of these. It's my essential business. Glass. It's my essential business certification.
No. I have a thing in my car that says I can't be turned away because I'm essential too.
I laminated it.
I used packing tape, so touche.
Well, when we shut down to create over 1,500 face shields, the shield is actually made out of a piece of laminator film. So I own 3 laminators. I've never had a need for 3, but so yeah, laminate all the things. Mm-hmm. But there's a reason why you pay us, right? And yes, we're making a profit. Crazy.
Imagine that.
Crazy. A business that's trying to make money. Yes, because contrary to popular belief, Tad is not cheap. And most of our engineers, not cheap. The ones that are still students. Although they're starting to wise up.
Times are changing.
Hey, I'm okay with that. Look, quality work makes quality money. That's what it's all about for us. We want to solve those problems. And if you are a business, sure, you could probably drop 40 grand on a Stratasys if you really wanted. Mm-hmm. But can you drop $100K on a guy to run it that knows what he's doing? And maybe you get lucky and you got that geek that you forgot about. Maybe you didn't forget about it. Maybe he's your VP that's really hardcore into like hobbies, right? He probably knows about 3D printing. Then, okay, fine. Buy your own 3D printer. But when he's too busy to work on that 3D printer, when it inevitably breaks, give us a call.
We'll help you out. Dedicated person for this.
You do. You need someone that can run CAD and do 3D printing. As long as you can handle the workload. 3D printing is not like your 2D printer. You don't just send it a file wirelessly and ignore it.
Yeah.
You need to watch it. Right after your first layer.
Yeah. Like right now, every once in a while I turn around and look at it. But
and I guess let me be fair here. The Making Awesome podcast and 3D Musketeers under no circumstances recommends that you leave printers unattended due to fire hazards and other risks and bodily harm and injuries that could come from leaving a machine unattended. With that disclaimer out of the way, you can viably watch the first layer and walk away, right? Yeah. We don't recommend it, obviously, especially if you're new to this. But 3D printers are pretty cool desk toys. Just saying, when the boss ain't using them, you can use them. Filament's not very expensive. It fits in a filing cabinet. And machines like the Prusa Mini, that thing's like $350 with the right upgrades from Prusa. It's $400 plus shipping. Once they get their lead time down a little bit more, we might grab a couple. I want one sitting on my desk. That's a great one that we can take out to trade shows and stuff when we go, just have something moving.
Ooh, you know what you should do? You should like make an enclosure for it with a handle. You could just pick the whole thing up as one.
They make a handle for it.
Oh, does it already have a handle?
I mean, it doesn't, but it's open source.
Okay.
Of course there's the handle for it.
Of course somebody thought of this.
Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that?
And of course there's change coming down the line, but as a business, what do you care about? Are you more concerned about the amount of time you're going to sink into the part to make it work, or are you more concerned about the money? If you can't see the value in getting something quick, where you don't have to deal with any of the BS, where you say, this is what I want, you get a price, you pay it, and an agreed to time later, that part either is delivered, it arrives, or you pick it up, then maybe you should look into doing your own 3D printing. But if you value time and you value all those resources,
and you want someone that has the expertise.
Right. We're considerably less expensive than what it would cost to bring on a dedicated staff member to run a 3D printing facility. And I can promise you, if you think you need 20 3D printers now, you may not need them in 3 weeks. Now, if you do buy 20 3D printers and they're all Prusas and you don't need them in 3 weeks, hey, give us a call. We'll gladly make you an offer for well under 50% of their retail value in cash. That's the thing. 3D printing inherently is not expensive. The materials are not expensive. We use all American materials. We get it from Atomic, unless otherwise specified. Those 2 printers right there are currently not running Atomic filament. The client specifically requested a brand, and that is the brand that we are using.
Kind of oddly particular.
I don't ask a lot of questions. They actually pay extra to use a cheaper filament, so who am I to say? And Atomic, do you have one of their new spool designs?
I have Atomic. This is, where's the camera? Candy apple red. This stuff is beautiful.
Show the spool. The spool is so cool.
Oh, I know. Here.
Yeah, the spool's got it's got an atom on it. Yeah.
It's so nice.
Atomic filament's like right around the corner from you, kind of. They're on that side of the country. I'm on the other side of the country. So everything's close to you if it's over in California or something.
Well, and oh man, this like I made a case for my Raspberry Pi recently. Oh,
describe it for the folks on Spotify, please.
All right, so I had, when I built my latest computer, a Intel CPU cooler, which is about 4 inches across.
Overkill for a Raspberry Pi.
Oh, so overkill for a Raspberry Pi, but I'm like, I can't sell this on eBay because it's worth like $10 at most.
And for those of you wondering why he would put a heatsink on a bakery item, just ask a friend.
Yes, the little computer on a board.
Oh, I wasn't going to explain it. I was going to leave that out there.
Let's leave that joke. But I designed this little case that can make use of this way overkill CPU cooler and put it all in a nice little, oh, that's backwards. Nice little box.
And so as an engineer, kind of describe what that was like to go through this iterative design process.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah. I just did it from the comfort of my home. I have a Raspberry Pi. I took measurements of it and of the CPU cooler. And I've done a lot of work in plastic injection molding. So I was like, well, I'll just kind of apply those same kind of design principles. Like if I was going to buy something off the shelf, and I'll just design it from scratch and print it. And I actually did that like way before I got the printer, knowing that I was going to get it. And now I'm actually doing it. So it was a lot of fun.
And that's the other thing, right? CAD designers, you can get a great CAD designer who has absolutely zero desire to do 3D printing, zero desire to do 3D printing, or who may not be qualified to operate a 3D printer. And look, when I got into 3D printing, there were no degrees. There were no options. You wanted to get into 3D printing, good luck. You're a first mover. So now there are additive manufacturing degrees. That's its technical term, additive manufacturing. It's sleek, it's sexy. Oh, it's got manufacturing in it. So, maybe it won't get killed by tariffs. Who knows? Yeah. But that's why we buy American. Atomic makes phenomenal filament. If you want to buy good filament and you don't really care where it comes from, Prusament, that Prusa Research makes phenomenal filament as well. But Atomic's great. Printed Solid is great. The individual who had the Ender 3 I never told the end of that story. He got a Prusa and loves the freaking Prusa. And
Yeah.
every time I talked to him, he said, I really do not understand why I fought with that Ender 3 for so
To
darn
try
long.
and squeeze a little extra performance out of it.
It's like
And
getting
it was
blood out of a
blown away,
tomato,
right?
man. You ain't going to get it.
Yeah.
And as soon as he got that Prusa, yeah, I said, read the instructions, cover to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Follow the directions. Prusas come with a bag of Haribo gummy bears. And inside of the instructions, it tells you to split up the gummy bears. Do not eat them. It is the worst thing about the printer. The problem they have the most complaints about is inadequate or overzealous bear consumption. And they even tell you got to stick to the plan. They tell you when to eat the bears. It's a constant reward system. Prusa knows how to work with humans.
Human nature.
You know, it's a mild amount of social engineering to get you to do it in one sitting. You know, but as a company, can you take 12 hours for the first time? I've eventually got them down to 6. I think the world record's a little bit over 3 hours, which is ridiculous.
Jeez.
One of Prusa's own people said it.
I was about to say, they must do it all day.
Fair. I think the closest non-Prusa employee was like 4 hours. I'm happy at 6.
Yeah.
But let's say you've
itself.
hired someone that's done this before. 6 hours. Think about the salary you're going to have to pay someone that's got the experience in 3D printing to run a 3D printing lab for your business. 6 hours of their time. You buy it pre-assembled.
Yeah.
But even then, what if they don't have the skill? What if they don't know how to troubleshoot? And
you're gambling on this not being a pain in the butt.
You're hedging a bet on 1, maybe 2 people and 1, maybe 2 machines. I don't know about you. That's not a bet I would take. And I look, I'm a small business owner. There are a lot of bets that have really crap odds that we take every single day. That's not a bet as a business that I would take. Well, in your shoes at least. I've been doing this for 10 years. I took the leap of faith as a hobby and decided to turn it into a business. That's the way I did it. But you know, look, it costs nothing to pick up the phone and call us. It costs nothing to get a quote. It costs nothing to ask questions. And we'll give you a quote. And if you say, you know, what if I wanted to do it myself? We'll tell you to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Hell, we'll even help you pick out a good 3D printer. Because we know 9 times out of 10, you'll be back. They always come back. And that's why we don't recommend that people do it. If you're an inventor and you're looking to create your own ideas, but you're really an ideas person, 3D printing's not for you. If you are a business, let's say a personal injury attorney, and you want to get an edge over the people on the other side of the bench by utilizing 3D printing in your court cases, don't do it in-house. You should know better. Look at how much you get paid. You should know better.
That's actually an interesting case. You want to go into that a little bit?
What do you mean?
In terms of like use of 3D printing in court cases?
Not yet.
Okay. Now for episode for another day.
I think that will be an episode for another day, although that's one of those markets that we've been pretty quiet about because it's... Anyways.
More business coming.
Yes, there's more to come. I'm actually trying to get an attorney buddy of mine to talk about it too. Might be pretty cool. Anyways, that's another talk for another day. You know, if you're an architect, architects are one of the few times where it is almost always better to do your printing in-house. And that's because architects use a lot of interns. And architecture interns are not making models the way you used to make them. And you being the gristled 40-year veteran architect that I'm talking
Who drew everything by hand.
That drew everything by hand and has... that if they even look at an X-Acto knife, they get PTSD flashbacks.
Yeah.
Or foam core, right?
Yeah, God.
Both of those cause flashbacks. Make him think of the big war back when things were tough. There's an X-Acto, run! Anyways. For audio only, I held up an X-Acto as a very poor joke that realistically probably didn't hit its mark. But you know, that's where you get the benefit of having really young interns. There's likely one of them that's into 3D printing, but are you willing to keep that intern when their time is up?
You might want
That's a
to.
decision you have to make. You might want to, you might not want to, but those are decisions you have to look at making. And we'll help you do it, right? We just had it. We had someone, we have a contact over at the Home Shopping Network. They have a location here in St. Pete, Florida, about an hour south of 3D Musketeers HQ. And he referred a friend of his to us to get a dome light 3D printed. I'm like, okay, a dome light, figured it was for a car, no big deal. They're like $30 generally. Nope. It was a big dome light for a garage. So it was like 6 by 6 by 6 inches. I'm like, well, how much would a new fixture cost? He's like, well, you know, I think I found them for like $150. I said, buy them. I said, but I would have to buy 2. I said, yep, buy them. It will still cost you less because 3D printing, at least where we do it here at 3DM, we bill by time and material usage. It is not just strictly time. It is not just materials. It is a factor of both, because that print of that clear-ish lens cover would take a long time. It probably wouldn't use all that much material.
But it's an opportunity cost.
Yep. And look, we're here to make money just like the next for-profit company, but we're not here to steal it.
Right.
And I'm sure we could have gotten to an agreement where that person would have been glad to pay us. But I looked at it and I knew it was from Lithonia Lighting. I knew that style of lighting is from Lithonia. I said, this is the company you want to contact. If they can't get you new fixtures, they can probably, or new covers, they can probably just sell you new fixtures. And that was the right move to make. And it hurts, especially right now.
To turn someone away, yeah.
Right. But we know it was the right move. A great example, we had a Redditor. I'm active on Reddit. No, I won't give you my username, but it's not that hard to find me. We post a lot and I don't hide who I am. There's a Reddit user that posted a photo of his Ender 3. And he was having issues with prints sticking to the bed. And I looked at it and said, oh, your part's not flat on the bed. He's like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, it's not. I said, your skirt, which is a purge line that goes around the part, is not around your entire part. It's not flat on the bed. He's like, no, I see it. It's flat on the bed. Said, okay, send me the file. He sent me the file. Spoiler alert, 10 years in the industry means I was probably right. I was right. And I'm telling this story because he did a really cool thing for us. So instead of just sending him back the ready-to-go file, I used a screen capture program. Loom, actually, it's totally free. I'll recommend them. I actually like Loom, so that because you can do yourself in a little bubble, and then you have what you're doing on your screen. So I sent him a video of how I fixed his file, put it on the bed, and even gave him some tips and tricks on the slicing for it, so it could reduce his print time and make the part stronger. He told me what it was for. And I said, oh, dude, that's, so cool. Thank you so much. I never expected anybody to help me, let alone a company, and you guys turned it around so fast. Is there anything I can do? And anytime someone asks us, is there anything I can do? I have 2 requests. First and foremost, pay it forward. You now have a knowledge that you didn't have previously. That's important. The next time you see someone struggling with that thing, send them the video or make your own and show it, right? Because that can be hugely helpful. Number 2, and it's something that really benefits us, review us on Google. And I have Google My Business open. I'm going to go ahead and read verbatim. His name is Mr. Metzger. I guess I can just say his first name because it's on there. It's Rory Metzger. Oddly, the school that I teach at, we have a Metzger. I didn't ask if they're related, but I want to, because it's a rare enough name. I've never heard it before.
Somewhere
But
down the line.
he said, I was having a problem printing my model, so I asked what could be wrong on Reddit, and these guys helped me. Mr. Posner, hey, that's me, solely out of the kindness of his heart, asked me to send him my print so he could take a look at it and see what was wrong. Turns out it was tilted 1 degree and it made the print wrong. But here's the best part. He literally took a narrated video of himself fixing my part and taught he meant me, what was wrong and how to fix it in the future. I literally don't even know these people, and they went so far just to help me with my problem for absolutely no reason except being kind. They absolutely deserve a good review, and I hope that everyone has the pleasure of interacting with them like I have. Thanks again, guys.
It's sweet.
Every minute that I spent working on that guy's part, I think I recorded the video 3 times. I screwed it up every single time. So I had to like undo all the fixes multiple times. But that makes it worth it. We're a small business. Every review counts. It's in my signature for emails. Like our services, tell us on Google. Because yes, as a small business, we have, let me see how many Google reviews we have. It's not very many. Can I see? Where can I see it? 28. And we have 1 1-star review. Most of them are 4 or 5-star reviews. That 1-star review just says closed. That person doesn't know the damage that they did to our company when they posted that. And that's
below our average.
It's like, no, we had literally just moved and Google didn't update our address. It wasn't my fault.
And I love it when people do that, like on Amazon or something. It's not even about the product. It's like, didn't get here in 2 days. It's like, don't review the product, review the service.
Because users go to Google, they look for a company, they go to Amazon, they look for a product. The first thing they look at are those reviews. They don't look at the reviews.
No, they look at the stars.
They do. Yeah, they look at the stars. Right. I've gotten into a habit of, if I'm on Amazon or wherever, and I see reviews, like I recommended a rubber bristle broom. If you have cats or dogs and you have hard surfaces, go to Amazon. It's worth it. They're like $15. There's one with 29,000 reviews and it has a 4-star average. And you look at the 1-star ratings, and a lot of it is just people being stupid.
Not any actual like legitimate complaint. Just like, or like, I got the wrong thing. It's like, well, isn't that on you? It's not the product's fault.
Yep.
So,
and that little bit helps out. And, we're moving away from the subject, right? We're trying to do these, little extra episodes at some point. So I'll reel us back into the subject. But, even as small businesses, we have to look at our time.
Yeah.
Right. Could I have billed that guy? Hell yeah, I could have billed him. Was it worth it? No. And there was no quid pro quo. I asked him if he would mind leaving a review, but I didn't give him what to say.
No.
I about teared up when I saw that. I'm like, yeah, people are going to see this. This is good. This is what I like. Because that's who we are, right? We'll work with you. We work with a lot of clients without billing them.
Yeah.
Simply just to help them with their jobs, or they have questions. I think ultimately, though, you have to decide, is the cost of 3D printing worth to you what it truly costs? The $200 Ender 3s, the $200 A-nets, or $150 A-nets, the $50,000 Stratasys, the $400,000 Mimaki, Grant, come on, what other weird ones? The $20 million Organovo, the $1.2 million EOS P480.
What's the Metal X cost?
$100,000.
Yeah.
That's just for the machine. I think the sintering station, all that's like another 40 or 50.
Jeez.
You're in it a good 200 G's, basically. Yeah. It's a cool printer. We'll have to,
if you're like an aerospace company and really need that or something.
If you're an aerospace company, go get an EOS P480. That'll do DMLS, direct metal laser sintering, and not any of this FDM crap that you have to mill afterwards. It's cool, don't get me wrong, but meh.
The use cases are few and far between.
Yeah, they are. You know, it all comes down to opportunity cost, and I think, Tad, you said it perfectly before. What is it worth to you?
Do you have the time to sit here and set this up, or do you just want to have a ready-made solution?
Do you know the settings?
Yeah.
Do you know if you're going to run out of materials? Do you have enough materials? What about spare parts of the printer? What if you burn out a bed thermistor? What if your heater breaks? What if your motherboard fries? What are you going to do? Us, we just go to another printer and we'll fix it later, because speed matters the most. You know, you can go to China, you can get it for less. Go ahead. But you're going to wait 3 or 4 weeks. Oh, I don't know if people will be able to hear.
Oh, I could hear.
You could hear her.
Yeah.
Our director of marketing just walked in. My manager. Hello. Her name is Victoria. She's my manager. Come on. No? Some days you want to come up. Other days she just doesn't.
Cats are like the dancing frog.
Dancing frog.
The singing
I would lift
frog.
you up, but you're a little bit chunky and I have a bad back. Come here.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my baby.
Oh, yes.
You know, like,
And
never
she
does
walked
it
out.
when you want them to.
Right.
Only when you don't.
I was going to show her to our video listeners so that they could get a little cat tax. Video listeners, damn it, he did it again.
The second time now.
This one's buried so deep, I'm not going to catch crap for it. So
It's going to be an
we'll
in joke
fine.
forever.
I promise it was not on purpose. But yes, you have to weigh the benefit. You have to do a cost benefit analysis, and we'll help you with it. And if you decide that you want to do your own 3D printing, great. We'll help you, but we're not going to help you a lot, because at the end of the day, we still want your business.
Right.
We're not going to give you the secrets to the vault. We're going to help show you where the lock picks are, though. That's what we do.
Gotten to the infill. We're making progress.
Best. That's the best. Infill's gorgeous.
It is.
Anyways, Tad, is there anything else you want to add? I mean, you know, you how long have you had that person out?
Oh, a month.
A month?
Maybe?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
What are some of your takes on this? And should I feel like I should remove my headphones so you could be very candid, but
Come on.
you know what? I'm gonna turn off my microphone.
Oh.
So I can't respond even if I wanted to.
I'll just see you being like,
Yeah, you could just say I'm the worst person ever. The person's a terrible machine, but I want you, without my interruption, because I talk way too damn much. I want you to talk to the folks at home, whether they're watching us on YouTube, got it, or listening on their favorite podcasting platform. Tell them about your experiences with this printer, good, bad, indifferent.
So far, my only real troubles have been, there are a couple of parts that the Prusa comes with stock that are just a little bit of a pain in the ass. Like the Y-axis belt tensioner is like a little kind of a Y-shaped piece where you're supposed to like slot the belt into it, and it's supposed to hold it that way. And then adjusting the tension the way it's designed is kind of stupid. So Grant printed me like a little thing that you put on one end of it that you can just lift it up and get to with a Allen key to adjust the tension. It's so much better. And same with the Z-axis end stops there. Those are a little bit better than the ones that they come with stock. So those little improvements make it a little easier to put together and maintain. But overall, I would say it's just a dream to put together and to run. Like, I got it working. Where's the first part that I ever printed? The first part that I printed on this thing, I don't know if you can see this, is just the Prusa logo that comes on the SD card that they give you. And this thing turned out fine without any kind of changes on my part. I'm like, oh, this is already like, this is better than, you know, the machines I started with in college. Like, and that's after tuning. This was just with no changes whatsoever. So after a couple of tweaks, a little bit of tensioning here and there, a little bit of calibration, I got it dialed in right where I like it. So I would say for the money and, you know, for not too much hassle, it's pretty good. So I'm satisfied with my first couple of weeks of printing.
I'm coming off mute now. Sorry for everybody. I'm back.
Oh, sorry.
I know it's the worst.
The worst.
But that's kind of my experience too, right? They punch well above their weight class. If you are spending less than, let's say, $4,000, or you have a budget of less than $4,000, and
Yeah.
FDM 3D printing is the proper 3D printing for you, get a Prusa. Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Don't
You
even
will
think
not,
about it.
You do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Don't let your dreams be memes.
Mm.
You will
You can
not
print
regret
memes.
It. You can.
I don't think I could show you the one that I printed.
You cannot. Just buy the Prusa. If you're looking to spend more than $4,000, call us. A Fusion 3 might be the option. A army of Prusas might be an option, or realistically, nothing. If you're a company that's looking to spend $1,000 on a 3D printer, there's probably nothing that I'm going to do to stop you, or nothing that I could do to stop you, because you're buying it for the sole purpose of tinkering. If you're buying it expecting it to be a production, workhorse that you can beat up and, run all the way out to its limits, you're going to have a bad time. These are machines that, back when Tad and I first started, those machines were alpha, if that. Now we're in the beta, right? We're getting to the point where commercial viability in a home is possible.
There will be a day when it will be like a 2D printer. You could just send a file, don't even have to walk into the room, and you'll know that when it's done, it'll be there.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We can install a webcam into our Fusion 3 and I can access it over the internet. Same thing with our Big D bot. Both of those printers can be networked. We don't network them because of the type of business that we do. It's bad for business. But the option exists.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to say here is we want you to think about what the best move is for you, for your company, for your time, and your wallet. This is not as simple as, buying a all-in-one 2D printer. This is not as simple as buying fancy paper because you want your resume or you want your sell sheet to stand out. This isn't as simple as buying a little Cricut so you can put a decal on your car or write off some driving as a marketing expense. This is I want to say investment, but it's a time sink.
Yeah.
Once you get it, you get it. But before you get to that point, you might not have a great time. And if you're a business owner, if you work directly for a business owner, or, you get paid anything over minimum wage, 3D printing will take a long time to get right, to get accurate, to get reliable, to get repeatable. We did on the two Prusas directly off to my right, we did the exact same part because the client needed it fast. Of course, they never came and picked it up, but it was a 18-hour print on one printer. We split it up, and it was a 7-hour print on two printers. Yeah, that's how it works. Don't ask. I'm not going to get into that today.
But that kind of time saving is what's possible when you have it as a business and not as, your own. You have one printer. You don't have that option.
So instead of us getting it to them in 2 days, we were able to get it to them overnight if they picked it up. And that sort of turnaround time is valuable, right? And because we have so many printers, we actually printed 3 pieces. It's only 2, but we said if one printer fails, we will have a backup. And if it doesn't fail, then the client has some random piece they can put in their office. We don't bill for that. That's just part of our safety net. If we have no use for it, give it to the client, let them put it in their boardroom or something. If we do have a use for it, then we hold on to it. Maybe we add it to our samples, show off to people.
Either way, for either us or them, it's a good talking piece.
Yep. We work with a company here locally that even through all this pandemic, saw amazing quarterly sales. And a lot of that was due to the fact that they are doing all their prototyping with 3D Musketeers. Instead of going to China, going to one of their factories, getting a mold cut, getting it injection molded, then getting it flew over, which, by the way, is going to take 3 to 4 weeks and cost $20,000 to $30,000 to do.
Mm-hmm.
They can get a prototype that's a couple $100 in design time, maybe $150 to 3D print it, and they can have it in 3 days.
Yeah.
Damn. And that's the kind of turnaround time that their customers are expecting, right? You have to delay and delay and delay. And let's not talk about what happens if, the ports get shut down and flights aren't coming in from China, right?
Yeah.
I can just go deliver it. Well, I used to be able to. I can't now. But
this is
normally,
a good plug for our episode on injection molding versus 3D
it
printing,
is,
by the way.
yeah. What episode number was that? I should
It's
know.
either 1 or 2.
It was
I
number
think.
1. It was episode
Number one.
Yeah.
For
this is
more on
episode
that kind of
4.
stuff, that trade-off is a interesting conversation in and of itself.
It is. It's a really interesting one. And summarize it, they're both useful. Know when it's the right time.
Right.
But as a business, TLDR, TLDW, basically outsource it. Straight up outsource
leave it to the professionals.
And that's not just because we make money, right? It's not just because it helps keep food on Tad's plate. It's not just because it helps me keep this dream of being a self-made man alive. It's not just helping, keep the dream of the manager, Victoria, being fed well. It's a cat, don't worry. She has plenty of food. She's 15 pounds. Food is not the problem. She needs lots of love, though. And maybe we'll get a cat tax in one of these episodes.
If she cooperates.
She'll cooperate. I just need to be able to pick her up. Or get her to jump on my lap without, giving me new piercings on my thighs.
Yeah.
Almost always, the benefit here is to benefit is to outsource. It's not worth learning unless you have the time. If you have 6 months to get a 3D print done, buy a printer. Screw it. Because in the event that you spend 3 months and decide you hate it, we can still get it done for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're on a time crunch, outsource it. You got time? Maybe both. But that's really all I got on this subject. I thought this was going to be a short episode. And I think this is one of our longest episodes so far.
I think it's pretty good.
That's okay, because the cost of 3D printing, it's a little nebulous, but it's okay. That's what it's about.
And it's sort of the fundamental you got to talk about when we get new customers. We need to understand what they need out of our services, and sometimes it's not the right thing. But it's a conversation that has to be had.
Very true, very true. Anyways, as always, if you have any questions, if you want to be a guest, if you want to hang out with us and do cool stuff, you can come talk to us. Reach us at 3D Musketeers. You can come hang out with us on the podcast. We're always looking for guests. We want to hear about your story. Realistically, there's so much out there that can be done. And that's just what it's all about. Making awesome. That's what we love to do. We want to share that passion with you. And as always, these episodes are supported by 3D Musketeers, which I am the owner. Tad is our lead engineer. And we hope that you are enjoying your time with us. Stay safe out there, guys. Buckle your seatbelts. I don't know. I'm trying to find some weird anecdote that I can go with and just change it every single time to screw with people. I don't know. What's the news anchor that used to say it? Stay classy, stay salty. I don't know. Don't be jerks. Get out there and vote. I don't know.
Make sure you register to vote.
Yeah, make sure you register to vote. That's important. Voting's good. We like that. We like that around here. Making awesome number 4. We'll see you guys later. Take
Have a
care.
good one.